I know most of you clicked on this video because of that title, and I will say that is a sinister element to this episode that probably flew over most people's heads while watching the first episode of Spy Classroom. I know for a fact it flew over my head until someone gave me a link to a translation of this page that had a very sinister secret. And so, let's talk about that. So when you first look at this within this episode, it's early on in the episode, like the first half of the episode, and you're getting introduced to all the characters. When you first look at this, such as myself, you look at this, you're like, okay, you move on, because it says communal living rules. You assume it's just living rules for the house, and that's about it, and you don't think too much about it. You carry on with the episode, and that's about it. However, if you're an individual that either A, can read German, or B, you're someone that looks for someone that translated this, or is given a link to someone that has translated this, then you will find out what this really says, and there are some things that are very off about it. Now, first things first, that does need to be said, that this entire rules list, there could be some jokes to it. Maybe it's just a funny little joke that was thrown in, or there could be some hidden meaning to it to where it's hinting at maybe some dark secrets that the series will eventually go down in the future. So let's talk about that. What does these rules necessarily say? So the individual here actually translated the rules on that page. So shout outs to them for translating this. And I was given a link to this, basically, of what the individual rules are. So, like I said, it starts off very normal, and then it gets into some darker stuff. So the first rule is, after leaving, come back without dying. Number 2, lose all pursuers while coming home. Number 3, be polite to everyone that accidentally entered the property. Number 4, eliminate everyone who tried to sneak into the palace. If you cannot determine if it was on accident, eliminate them. So basically that goes along with rule 3. So if it was by accident, they're okay, but they purposely sneak in, get rid of them. Number 5, don't invite outsiders. Number 6, only use the entry through the religious school garments, which we saw our characters use in the episode. Number 7, only the boss can enter the warehouse in the basement. All other rooms can be used by anyone, which is a little bit of a question, but it's like, okay, makes sense. I mean, a boss might need their own way to get in. Number 8, use firearms only on the shooting range if possible. I'm assuming number 8 goes along with rule number 4 and 3. Basically, if someone sneaks in, and there's like someone's trying to sabotage, you got to get rid of them in your own way. It makes sense. Number 9, don't be interested about the history of the building. That's a question mark. Like, why can I not be interested in the building history? Number 10, the following rules 11 through 25 don't apply during training and missions. So basically, you could do numbers 11 through 25 anytime you want if there is training and missions, because there's no rules against them, so to speak. So let's continue. So number 11, don't enter or clean the bedrooms without permission. Number 12, don't force people to go to the training if they don't want to. Number 13, alcohol and smoking should be done in moderation, at most 2 bottles of wine per day. Number 14, don't force other residents to drink alcohol. Number 15, don't use gunpowder as an alarm clock. And it's like, wait, huh? Who's using gunpowder as an alarm clock? Number 16, ban on using the consumer credits through fake certificates. Number 17, ban on gambling using money between residents. Number 18, the gambling for organs is limited to once per day. We'll talk about that. We'll swing back around to that one. Number 19, ban on artistic activities in common areas. Number 20, ban on artistic activities where a residence is the model. My bad, I read 21. Number 20, ban on calling stripping in common areas artistic actions. Number 21 is what I just said earlier. Number 22, don't sleep on the roof. Number 23, don't leave any food. Probably only the don't leave is readable. 24 and 25 are not readable. So to pull up the thing here, you can literally see the rules here. And if you look closely at number 18 right here on screen, as you can see, you will literally see organ. You'll literally see organs right there. So this is definitely not someone making a troll translation post. You literally see organs right there on it. It's like, okay, that's kind of messed up. So circling back around to this this translation, let's talk about this number 18 rule, okay? This number 18 rule is very sinister, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. Is this could be a joke, because maybe the individuals that, put this in, for this episode, because I don't know how this was necessarily in the light novel, because the light novel might not have ever had this. I don't know. but at least in the anime, this could be a joke, this could not be, it could be foreshadowing, who really knows? The point is that number 18 is definitely very sinister, and when you think about the elements of this episode, like the first episode of Spy Classroom, and kind of what happens later on with, our character here and how she poisons the teacher, there is definitely a darker tone to this series. It seems innocent at first, but our characters definitely are capable of getting rid of people if they need to, if, they want to survive, so to speak. And so when you think about the rule number 18 about, gambling organs only once per day, it's like, okay, why? Why does there need to be a rule for that in the first place? Why does that need to be a rule? And something else that doesn't need to be pointed out is, once again, if we go back to rule number 10, the following rules 11 through 25 don't apply during training and missions. So basically, these rules are off the table. So if there's a mission or training, you can sleep on the roof. There's mission and training, you can, gamble for organs more than once per day, etc. You can put gunpowder as an alarm clock. It's just like, why? So when you take a moment and you think about these rules, why are they there? Why are they there? I mean, is it going to play a role in the future? Because for all we know, this could have a dark spin to it. Because finding out about our main female character's past and how her village died to just who she is as an individual, and how she's able to use, these toxins and poisons, etc., it's like, it makes you wonder, what's really going on there? What's happening within this world for stuff like that? So yeah, that is food for thought, honestly. I thought those rules were very interesting, and shoutouts once again to the translator of that. I don't know if those are going to be very relevant. I don't know if that's a foreshadowing hint, or hint for Spy Classroom in the future. Who really knows? But I think that's very fascinating. It's a little detail that is thrown in there that probably the average watcher will not catch. And, stuff like that is very interesting, especially for a new story, because, if you don't know what's going to happen, it makes you wonder if something like that is going to happen. You get my point. So anyways, with that out of the way, let's actually talk about episode 1 of Spy Classroom, which, I mean, technically I already have been, but let's actually get into the plot, the characters, etc., the nitty-gritty, so to speak. So, Spy Classroom, what is it? Well, I just want to be first to say that if you're someone that loves Assassination Classroom, if you've ever had the privilege of reading or watching Assassination Classroom, then you are absolutely going to love Spy Classroom if you love that series, because they are very similar. There's some differences, but they are very similar as shows, and I want to point that out. So, basically, I don't know what came first. I don't know if Spy Classroom came first or Assassination Classroom came first. It doesn't matter to me. I started with Assassination Classroom, and I'm going to say that I love Assassination Classroom, and because of that, I see a lot of similarities with Spy Classroom within it. And you have, the teacher basically kind of being top spy. Koro Sensei's a top, assassin. And then you have the whole situation with, our characters trying to learn from this very impressive teacher. It's very similar vibes, so to speak. So if you like that, you're going to like this show. Now, talking about the teacher, there is some core differences here that separates him, so to speak, from Koro Sensei from Assassination Classroom. Koro Sensei is a master at teaching and being basically an assassin, while you have this teacher right here. He is a master spy, but he is not a good teacher. He straight up is a failure as a teacher. When we early see him, in the show, and he tries to teach the class and all that about how to, lockpick and all that, it showcases that he cannot explain how to do those things, because he is someone that is so good at what he does it instinctually. He does it by instinct. He doesn't need to think about it. He just does it. And I know many people might look at this and think to themselves, that doesn't make any sense. If you're that good at doing something, you should know how to properly do it and explain to others. And there's many cases of this. Some people can be absolutely excellent at something, but they can be just really bad at explaining it, because they just don't know how to properly convey it with words, but also because they just do it subconsciously. And in this case, it's one of those things to where he's just so good at it, he can't properly explain it to people that have never properly mastered it as well. And he goes by explaining this as how people put on a shirt, or how we get food, etc. An example of this is when you get up in the morning and you get a shirt, do you put your arm through the right sleeve or the left sleeve first? Which do you do first? And I'm willing to bet you, myself included, I was like, whoa, I don't even actually know which one I start with. I bet most of you would be like, yeah, I don't know. I just do it. And that's the truth. Many of us do certain actions throughout the day we just don't think nothing about. We do these things and, we're a master at them because we just put it on, we go. Like, some of us might just get up in the morning, go grab a cup of coffee, and we pour it all. We just do the exact same thing we need, and we maybe grab a cup the exact same way every single morning. We just have these habits and instincts that we do, and we just can't really properly explain it to people. And so in this case, the main teacher, like the character that's teaching the class, he is really skilled at being a spy. He just can't properly explain it to those individuals around him. So I like that. I like his character not necessarily being perfect. Now, this obviously could be maybe a lie, and once again could go into some more sinister aspects of the story that, they are supposed to be, let's say, sacrificial pawns. Who knows? Because that is an element that the story does bring up, that the characters feel like they're sacrificial pawns, because the main objective of the story is that the reason why they're here is to build up for an impossible mission that has a 90% mortality rate for first-class spies. And to put this in perspective, our characters basically that are learning here, like all of our female characters, they are dropouts / failures in the spy industry. They're not really good spies, so to speak. However, they're good, but, they're not the best. They're like bottom tier. And so the fact that they're all here and they're being tasked with doing like a really crazy, impossible mission, they start to wonder, oh, so they're going to be sacrificial pawns for this guy to be able to accomplish his mission. That's what they start to think. And so we have the actions at the end of the episode where, our main female character, she poisons the teacher to try to save everybody, like, hey, don't sacrifice us and all that. We don't want to die here. So she has like the self-preservation, so to speak. So it makes you wonder. It's like, okay, is that actually, is he really like that? Or did he just say these pretty words to her to make her think that she really isn't? There's so many things here that I wonder about, because spies are supposed to put on this facade. They're supposed to put the mask on and play like your friends sometimes to be able to get what they want. And for all we know, that could be what he's doing right now. And so I like Spy Classroom Episode 1 for the content it covered and what it did with its first episode, because it really makes you not trust the teacher, even though it seemed like he's very trustworthy at the end of the episode with his whole speech and all that, and telling, one of our characters was now the leader. Just everything about it feels very off, so to speak. Now, speaking of which, some more good news with this, by the way, is that apparently this entire episode was the first chapter of the light novel. FYI, that basically means that the pacing of the show is relatively good and slow. It is not speeding through content to get to a certain conclusion. Like, oftentimes when it comes to, let's say, a light novel to an anime adaptation, you have where the first episode can cram in like an entire novel. I've seen it. I've seen it done. I have literally seen a first episode of an anime that's based on a light novel cram an entire light novel into its first episode just to get to maybe some action parts. But it seems like Spy Classroom is not going to be doing that. So I think that is an excellent part of this episode that definitely does need to be talked about, and that they're not rushing through the content and properly conveying what needs to be conveyed. So once again, when you see that content with the list and all that, it starts making me wonder a little bit more, because they're not rushing through content, and that could have been foreshadowing for the future. So let's get food for thought. Now, Spy Classroom. Overall, it's good. Artwork, music, voice acting, I think it's a solid first episode. I legitimately love it. However, if you're not someone that is into the spy aesthetic or the assassination classroom aesthetic, you might not like this. But if you do like that, you're probably going to enjoy this first episode. I will say that right now. So I give it my recommendation. I don't know if it's going to stay quality or consistent, but a lot of people told me this is a really good show. So I'm going to assume it's going to stay very good. If it stays like this, and it continues to have quality episodes, it's going to be a banger from Winter of Anime 2023. So I guess I will leave it at that for now until next week when the new episode comes out. If you enjoy my content, and I give you any form of entertainment, and you enjoyed this video, do leave me a like. It does help me out a lot, and it also lets me know you want more content on this type of series. Well, with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.